My husband left me and our 6 kids 15 years later. He's stunned when he finds out I did this. I still remember the morning he left. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't screaming or plate smashing against walls. It was quieter than that. Chris woke up, got dressed in his best jeans and sneakers, kissed the baby's foreheads like a ghost, and walked out the door carrying nothing but a battered duffel bag. No note, no goodbye, no promises to call, just the soft click of the door and then silence. At first, I didn't panic. You don't panic when the house still smells like pancakes and 6 little bodies are pulling on your legs asking if they can have more syrup. You just keep going because you have to. The first signs that he wasn't coming back were small. The texts unanswered. The paycheck that never showed up. The car insurance notice that said canceled in bright red letters. I told myself he needed time, space, that life had crushed him too hard, and he just needed to catch his breath. But weeks turned into months, and I realized he caught his breath somewhere I wasn't. The bills piled up faster than dirty laundry. Utilities first, then groceries, then the mortgage. 6 little mouths to feed, 6 growing bodies to clothe, and me. 26 years old, no degree, no savings, no backup plan. I picked up jobs wherever I could. Waitressing, babysitting, cleaning offices after hours, anything. I worked until my feet bled inside worn sneakers I duct taped at the soles. I came home so tired sometimes I couldn't even make it to the bed. I slept on the living room floor with the kids curled against me like a pile of kittens. We lived on instant noodles, peanut butter sandwiches, and whatever was about to expire at the grocery store's clearance rack. The house started falling apart around us. First the washing machine broke, then the fridge, then the plumbing backed up so bad the kitchen smelled like a swamp. I used pots and buckets to catch the leaks when it rained. Neighbors whispered. Teachers sent polite notes home about my kids appearing tired or coming to school hungry. The shame was worse than the hunger. It felt like drowning. Slow, humiliating drowning, while everyone watched from the safety of dry land. One afternoon, I found a yellow slip taped to the front door. Foreclosure notice. We had 60 days. 60 days to find somewhere for 6 children to live. I didn't have $6 to spare. I sat on the porch that night after putting the kids to sleep, hugging my knees, staring at the stars, and broke apart. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. I hated Chris. I hated the town. I hated God. I hated myself most of all for believing in fairy tales and promises and the kind of love that could survive real life. When the eviction came, it wasn't dramatic. No cops, no yelling, just a man in a brown uniform setting our things on the curb like trash. I packed what little we had into trash bags. A few clothes, some old toys, a box of photographs I couldn't bear to leave behind. We slept in a homeless shelter that first night. 7 bodies crammed onto 2 thin mattresses on a concrete floor. Hope left me that night. It packed its own bag and disappeared into the dark just like Chris. The shelters were rough. Roaches crawling over mattresses, fights breaking out in the hallways, whispers about who might be safe to leave your kids around and who wasn't. I kept my babies glued to my side. Day after day, I lined up for free meals. I stood in cold government offices begging for food stamps. I washed clothes in sinks. I brushed hair with broken combs. Sometimes I thought about walking into the river with all 6 of them holding my hands, just slipping under together, quiet, done. But then Ezra would giggle in his sleep, or little Soraya would reach out with her chubby hand and grab my thumb even in her dreams, and I knew they still had hope, even if I didn't. One night at the shelter, while rocking Josiah to sleep, I overheard 2 women talking near the kitchen about an abandoned piece of land on the south end of town. Old industrial property, toxic waste cleared out, nothing but overgrown weeds and cracked concrete now. Not worth nothing, one said. Can't build on poison. But my mind caught fire. Not because I had a plan, because I had nothing else left to lose. The next morning, after dropping the kids at school, I walked 2 miles in worn-out sneakers to find it. There it was, dead, broken, forgotten. Just like me. concrete slabs, split by wild grass, rusted metal scraps, a busted fence sagging at the edges. I stood there for a long time. The city didn't want it. Developers ignored it. Even the weeds grew reluctantly. But to me, it was a beginning. It was ugly, cracked, unwanted, and it was ours if we were brave enough to take it. That night, I gathered my kids around me at the shelter. I showed them a rough sketch I'd made on scrap paper. A garden, tomatoes, carrots, herbs, maybe chickens, if we could dream that big. Ezra frowned. "We don't have seeds," Micah said. "We don't have shovels," Naomi whispered. "We don't have a house." I looked at all 6 of their worried faces, and I said, "We still have hands and we have each other. That's more than most people." They didn't believe me right away. I didn't believe myself either. But the next day we walked to the land with nothing but second-hand gloves, a broken rake, and every ounce of stubbornness we had left. We started digging 1 inch at a time. The first few months were brutal. Our little patch of abandoned dirt didn't yield miracles. It yielded blisters, broken shovels, sunburnt backs, and more than one night where I lay awake wondering if I was raising fools to believe in anything at all. We dug through concrete, pulled rusted metal from the ground like teeth, sifted the dirt, finding shards of glass and old nails instead of seeds. People laughed when they saw us. One man rolled down his truck window, laughed, and shouted, "Hey, sweetheart! Gardens don't grow on poison." I smiled and waved, because if there was anything life had taught me by then, it was this. People laugh at things they're afraid to try. The first sprouts came in late spring, tiny green fingers clawing their way out of the ruined soil. Micah spotted them first, his sneakers covered in mud, a worn baseball cap shading his eyes. He whooped so loud I thought he'd stepped on a snake. We gathered around the little patch, me, Naomi, Ezra, Sariah, Josiah, and a tiny Amaya. Our hands dirty, our hearts in our throats. It wasn't much, but it was life. And that was more than we'd had for a long, long time. Word spread slowly. A woman from the shelter came by with an old wheelbarrow. An elderly man from the church dropped off packets of seeds he'd had in his garage since the 90s. A retired teacher donated tools. We cleared more land, built wooden boxes for raised beds out of scavenged pallets, started selling tomatoes and cucumbers off a folding table at the Saturday flea market. Little by little, the garden grew, and so did we. When the first full harvest came, we didn't sell everything. We set up a long folding table under the half-dead oak tree. We made signs out of cardboard, free vegetables for anyone hungry. No conditions, no judgments, no paperwork. People came, some with hesitation, some with gratitude, some with shame written across their tired faces. We handed them food with smiles. We said, "We know how it feels to be hungry." Because we did. The city took notice. One reporter did a story, "From Ruins to Roots, How a Forgotten Lot Became a Beacon of Hope." Soon grants started trickling in. We bought a greenhouse, added a beekeeping section, started a compost system. Naomi designed a summer youth program. Micah trained young kids in basic carpentry using scrap wood to build benches and tables. Ezra and Josiah helped paint murals, bright, beautiful walls that sang with color against the cracked brick. Sariah started a tiny mobile library for neighborhood kids. And Amaya, she became the voice of every project, standing on crates with a megaphone too big for her tiny body, yelling, "You're always welcome here." We didn't just grow food, we grew dignity. Roots that ran deeper than blood. Branches that stretched out and pulled others up from the mud. We turned a place nobody wanted into something nobody could forget. 15 years later, the land is almost unrecognizable. The garden now covers 4 city lots. There's a cafe built from shipping containers where all profits go back into the community. A small school for underprivileged kids. An open-air market every Saturday where farmers and artists sell their goods without fees. Solar panels glint like diamonds across the rooftops. It isn't fancy. It's ours and it's alive. That's when he came back. I was stacking crates at the co-op when I heard a voice. Hoarse, hesitant, say my name. I turned and there he was, Chris. Older now, thinner. The lines on his face deeper than any I remembered. He held his hat in his hands like a man visiting a grave. I didn't rush to greet him. I didn't run away either. I just waited. He shuffled forward, eyes sweeping over the gardens, the marketplace, the children, laughing near the mural-covered wall. All this, he said, voice cracking. This is you. No, I said calmly. This is us, he swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I didn't say I forgave him. I didn't say I hated him either. I just looked him straight in the eye and said, you left seeds behind. I chose to grow something beautiful out of them. Chris sat on a bench and watched for a long time. He watched Ezra teach a class on composting, watched Soraya hand out free books to little kids, watched Micah fix a broken bike for a boy with no shoes, watched Naomi laugh with a group of teenage girls about college essays and dreams. And he cried, not loudly, not for attention, just the soft, broken tears of a man who realized too late what he'd walked away from. Before he left, he asked if he could help somehow. I told him gently, the best thing you can do is plant something somewhere, anywhere, and take care of it, even if no one's watching. He nodded. He didn't ask for forgiveness again. He didn't ask for a second chance. He just touched the leaves of a tomato plant like it was something sacred. Then he walked away, hands in his pockets, head bowed. That night, under the stars, I sat by the greenhouse, sipping sweet tea, listening to the soft hum of crickets. The kids, young men and women now, sat around a fire pit they had built by hand, laughing, dreaming, living. And I realized I didn't survive being left behind. I blossomed because of it. The cracks in my life didn't destroy me. They became the places where the roots dug deeper, where life found a way. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.